Now, Israel-Hezbollah tensions that continue to escalate. Since this morning, Israel and Hezbollah have been exchanging non-stop missile attacks. Hezbollah missiles targeting Haifa, Israel's third largest city. Israel forces have also retaliated with missile attacks on Hezbollah intelligence headquarters in Beirut. At least 5 Israeli settlers injured after Hezbollah missile rocket strikes on Haifa. Hezbollah says it bombed a gathering of Israeli soldiers in the vicinity of al-Baghdadi site with salvo of rockets. Lebanon has also fired at least 35 rockets at Israel, leaving many vehicles on fire. No injuries have been reported so far in this attack.
One of the worst impacted areas in the heart of Haifa. This is where rockets struck late last night. Now, if you just look around, this is a residential area. Right in the center of this residential area, a rocket struck. But if you just look around, these houses, they've got pockmarked walls. The window panes are all shattered, and window panes in several of these localities are made of reinforced glass. But look at how the walls are completely pockmarked. Several automobiles caught fire, some are damaged, and now emergency workers are trying once again to restore this location. Late yesterday, close to midnight, first the air raid siren went up, because that's the time Israel realized that Hezbollah was firing rockets in this area. As soon as the air raid siren went up, people living in these homes, it was between 11:30 and 11:45, people rushed to shelters in their homes, in their buildings. Those buildings that do not have shelters, people rush to the staircase area of their hotels or their homes, because in Israel, as per law, they're supposed to make buildings with the staircase, which is made of specially reinforced concrete and metal for protection against rocket attacks and missile attacks. So people stayed in those shelters for close to an hour before returning to their homes. But then the air raid sirens went up once again, and that shows the tension all across in this area. And I want to show you all around that how an effort is being made to quickly once again get this place back on its feet. Gaurav Sawant in Haifa, northern Israel, for India Today.
I'm currently in the Amatya Hills. This is the hill area of the Lebanon where mostly people come for the safety and for their security. After the bombings in the suburbs of South Beirut, many families who could afford have shifted to this hilly hill station, or we can say, of Lebanon. But here also the Israeli air defenses are following all those people who are on their target and even attacking in these hills. These are two houses behind me which had been targeted during the Monday night, and you can see how the both the houses had got complete damaged. The missiles had been struck from the top and they had exploded in the middle of both the buildings. You can see how much damage has got created in the building. You can see here, people here say when in 2006 there was a war between Israel and the Lebanon. Even then this area was not targeted, but this time Israel is not sparing even this safe area or the hill station of Lebanon. Ashrafani for India Today in Amatya Hills in Lebanon.
Port area, this is the Bay Area, and right behind me is the Mediterranean coast, and always caught in the crossfire are the innocent civilians, the citizens, and that's exactly the case what I see here in Lebanon as well. Ever since the Israel airstrike started happening in southern part, hundreds of the Lebanese or the Syrians living in that southern suburb have taken shelter near the Bay Area. They are sleeping on the road. When the Israel Air Force carried out strikes in the southern Beirut, many rendered homeless. Their houses were destroyed, and many out of fear left their houses and now taking refuge on the road. And worst victim are the women and the children, as now they have no idea where to go. There are no homes, there is no life, there is no future, and it's all under concern and dilemma when the situation will calm down. The worst affected are always the children and women, and is this refugee camp, makeshift arrangements near the Zaytuna Bay port area. I see the huge number of women, the children who are living here in literally difficult situation and condition, and there's always a fear as the Israel offenses are continuous, the Hezbollah also retaliating, and if the conflict escalates further, probably it will affect the entire Beirut, and in that case, yeah, you'll see the millions of such people affected who will be taking refuge here and there. All this calls for immediate ceasefire and perhaps a solution, but that looks like very far because it's escalation. Israel offenses continues, Hezbollah also retaliates.
All right, let me quickly cut across to Gaurav Sawant, who's currently in Israel. He brings us all the developments as it unfolds there right at the epicenter. Gaurav, you're in Haifa right now, where Hezbollah carried out attacks this morning. What's the situation like?
The situation here in northern Israel, extremely grim all through the night. Haifa, the third largest city of Israel, there were rocket attack sirens wailing through the night. Rocket attacks were happening. The Iron Dome system got activated, but some rockets fell in and around the city. Not massive casualties, but 10 injuries and some loss to property has been reported. And this shows the intensity of the volleys that are being fired by the Hezbollah, despite an intense air raid that's been on virtually for close to a fortnight from the Israeli side. And even as we speak, right from behind me, you can see Israeli fighter jets. They're flying towards southern Lebanon and targeting multiple targets, not just in the southern part of Lebanon, but also going all the way to Beirut. There were multiple intelligence-based operations that were mounted in Beirut. What we can tell you from what IDF officials are telling us, a warehouse which was storing long-range missiles and rockets. Israel had precise intelligence. That warehouse was targeted, and Israel says the fact that after the first blast, which was the Israeli rocket targeting that warehouse, multiple sympathetic detonations took place, and that show that all the weapons that were stored inside, they exploded with the intensity, with the heat of the Israeli weapon, and there was sympathetic detonation for several hours. So this was a large warehouse that was destroyed. Several commandos of Hezbollah have been targeted, including one of their intelligence headquarters, where some of their assets have been neutralized, according to Israel. Israel has also mounted ground operations. The 91st Division of the Israeli army that was fighting in Gaza last year, now those forces have been brought here to northern Israel, and some elements of the division have been launched across into southern Lebanon. The aim of the Israeli army very clearly is to create some kind of a buffer zone, or to push back Hezbollah as much as possible. That's the only way that residents of northern Israel can get back to their homes after 1 year.
All right, Gaurav, stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to Ashraf Wani joining us live from Beirut. Ashraf, you're right at the spot where multiple rockets have been fired from Israel. We hear Hezbollah has responded, and there's been constant firing in the last 24 hours between both Hezbollah and Israel. Could you give us the extent of damage that we see currently on ground in Beirut? And what are Hezbollah's plans to save themselves? It seems like Israel is really on war footing, trying to eradicate Hezbollah hideouts and their members.
Nabila, actually, just a while back, Hezbollah released its statement on the first anniversary, as it is the anniversary being observed in the Israel for the biggest ever terror attack inside the Israel by Hamas, and also the Hamas is observing it as a anniversary for their victory. Hezbollah has said that they are proud of what they did after October 7 to Israel, and they are continuously targeting it, and that is reality also. Yesterday even they targeted the main port city of Haifa in the northern Israel, and today they have said in the statement that their war will continue till Palestine gets liberated. This is the word from the Hezbollah, and we have seen during the last few weeks, particularly after the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, IDF has intensified its attacks not only in the suburbs of Beirut, which is considered as the stronghold of Hezbollah, but also in the other areas of Lebanon. Just a while back, I was in one of the hill towns, that is in fact village, which is the Kimatia. There was also one Hezbollah installation targeted during the Monday night, in which 8 people had been killed and 12 others are injured who are being treated in nearby hospital. The neighbors there said that this family just shifted from the south suburban few days back after the aerial strikes intensified in the south suburb. Same is the scenario from the Bika Valley, where regularly IDF is targeting the Hezbollah locations. And even previous night, we have seen how the main weapon depot of the Hezbollah was targeted, and still the smoke is coming out from that Hezbollah hideout. But that does not mean that Hezbollah is finishing with these strikes. Hezbollah is a major proxy of Iran. They have more than 80,000 members, and it is believed during the statement of Iranian Supreme Leader Khomeini, the member recruitment in Hezbollah has been launched not only in Iran but also in Syria as well as in Lebanon. So in the coming days, the Hezbollah is very tough challenge for the Israeli defense forces.
Ashraf, would like to ask you on how far is Iran really supporting and supplying ammunition to Hezbollah in Lebanon? Do we know of anything concrete in terms of support through ammunition and whatnot? If they're giving enough aid to Hezbollah and pumping them enough to strike back at Israel?
Completely, Iran is behind not only Hamas but particularly behind the Hezbollah. All the weaponry which is being currently used by the Hezbollah has been stored during years in the southern part of Lebanon, where currently Israeli army is on the ground invasion. They are trying for last 3-4 days to invade into the south Lebanon, but so far they have not succeeded. The route is clear. It is the aerial route, it is the sea route, and it is as well the highway. Currently, I am standing. This highway has not any kind of a boundary or any kind of a, we can say, blockade for Iranian vehicles. Iranian vehicle can only come to the Iraq, then via Jordan they could reach to Syria, and from Syria to the Lebanon. So this way of transporting and equipping the Hezbollah is always 24/7 open for Iran. And during last few weeks, Iran is not only pushing the weapon supply to the Hezbollah, but also their top commanders are in the Beirut as well as in the Lebanon to guide and to strategize the operations which are currently being carried out by the Hezbollah. Only one mission of Hezbollah is that we have so far suffered too much. Our leadership has been killed by the IDF. Our locations and our establishments had been targeted, including the hospitals. But on the ground invasion, they want to give a tough battle to the IDF, so that they have experience for last so many wars, including the 2006 war, and that is the edge with the Hezbollah. And probably what I on the ground believe, that it is not so easy as it was for the IDF to dismantle the Hamas in the Gaza, which is in their control. Lebanon is the big country. This country is not only looked after by the Iran, but almost all we can say through Hezbollah. This country is being controlled by Iran itself. That is why we have seen after the killing of Hassan Nasrallah, foreign minister immediately from Iran landed here in Beirut. Then he went to the Syria and now settled in the Syria. That shows the clear indication that how important Hezbollah as well as Hamas and the Houthis are for Iran, because these all three proxies are fighting the war of Iran here on the borders of Israel.
All right. Well, it seems like tensions are only escalating at that point. The war in the Middle East really escalating at this point, creating huge tensions around the world. And this is also a fight for oil now. All eyes on Israel's retaliation to Hezbollah's fire. Let's take a quick look to see how this war has really impacted the world over.
As tensions rise in West Asia, the global economy is feeling the heat. Oil prices have edged upward, signaling potential threats to supply from one of the world's top producing regions. If Israel, supported by the United States, were to target Iran's oil installations, repercussions could be severe. Any such action would likely trigger a sharp rise in oil prices as supply diminishes.
There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach. There is nowhere we will not go to protect our people and protect our country. With every passing moment, the regime is bringing you, the noble Persian people, closer to the abyss. But you know one simple thing. Iran's tyrants don't care about your future, but you do.
The move taken by our armed forces was the least punishment for the occupying Zionist regime in the face of the crimes, the unbelievable crimes committed by that regime, the bloodthirsty regime, the wolfish regime.
The Karg Island is Iran's main oil loading terminal. It handles over 90% of the country's crude oil exports. Oil tankers could be seen vacating the waters around Karg Island, fearing attacks. Data from the European Space Agency's Sentinel satellites processed through the Earth observation browser showed at least 9 vessels, likely oil tankers, east and south of the island on September the 28th. A follow-up image taken on October the 3rd captured a stark contrast, with only 1 vessel in the vicinity, apparently on the move. An attack on Karg Island could cripple Iran's exports, but spark equally harsh countermeasures by Tehran. Iran could retaliate by striking American or its allies' energy operations in the Gulf. It could blockade the Strait of Hormuz, leading to major supply chain disruptions. Iran could also step up the tensions in the Red Sea with the help of its proxy, the Houthis, by targeting oil tankers and forcing traffic to reroute. US President Joe Biden has expressed hope that oil installations will not be targeted by Israel.
The vast majority of our allies around the world as a way to bring this to an end. Look, the Israelis have every right to respond to the vicious attacks on them, not just from the Iranians, but from everyone from Hezbollah to Houthis.
A similar face-off was last seen in April when Iran launched missiles and drones at Israel, the latter responding by attacking an Iranian airbase. The two countries stopped at that, and no further escalation took place then. The latest crisis, however, may not end that easily. With Gaurav Sawant in Israel and Rajesh Pawar in Iran, Bureau Report, India Today.